Big guest tonight, J-Doc. Glad to hear. I'm going to sit back and listen and learn a little bit about debt relief program, Philly Labor Debt Relief Program. I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're happy to introduce the Philly Labor Debt Relief Program for union families and financial who are in financial distress due to COVID-19. And I'm ecstatic to bring in Brad Sadek into the program of Sadek and Cooper. Brad, how are you, sir?
I'm very good, J-Doc. Joe Kraus, thank you guys very much for having me back. It's actually been 2 months. Hopefully that makes us 2 months closer to being out of this pandemic. I hope you guys are well this Saturday night. I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, so, you've been no stranger to the union community. You've worked with the Teamsters Local 115 and the Firefighters Local 22 on a lot of their debt relief programs. And we know you, Sadek and Cooper, of which you're the founding partner, is spearheading this. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, what we're doing is, we have been working with unions for a while, and we're in conversations with new unions. And what we're finding is, yes, there are some people out there on the front lines, and they're working more than ever, which gives them, greater economic flexibility. However, most people, unfortunately, have been left behind. I mean, we're talking union workers who may be working in colleges and cafeterias and airports. Those workers are not as busy. And the problem there is they're used to getting overtime, and, maybe they're even used to having two incomes. So like most of America, they have actually seen a fall in, they've been financially impacted. So what ends up happening is they are contacting us. And what I like to do is I take at least a half an hour to hear about everybody's individual situation, because they're all different. And I want to learn about, what is giving them an issue first and foremost. And then we have a few legal strategies, whether that be bankruptcy, a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, debt consolidation. Maybe it's a mortgage giving them an issue. So we are contacting mortgage companies, trying to get either a modification, which is a longer term change in finance terms, or maybe a shorter term forbearance, meaning a non-payment for 6 months on a loan or 3 months, just so they can get that, economic recovery that they need. But right now, there's a lot of tools available. There's a lot of tools that people don't know about. And what I try to do is assess the priority. Of course, the mortgage is a priority, the car is a priority, food and gas and clothing. What's not really a priority, which drags a lot of people down, and I'm seeing this now more than ever, is credit card debt. It's a huge problem, and it's the least priority, and it's taking up way too much income, especially when there is not as much discretionary income as we go further into this pandemic. So each and every situation is different, but the priorities are usually the same.
Brad, let me ask you if you'll spend a minute or two just talking to the audience for who you are. I think sometimes people are reluctant to reach out for help because they're embarrassed or nervous, or they categorize these 800 numbers to be all the same. You're none of that. You're real, sir. You're a real individual.
Well,
You're a real individual. I think that's so important.
Yeah, we have a 215 number in Pennsylvania, and we have a 856 number in New Jersey. Calling a lawyer, and I am a lawyer first and foremost, calling a lawyer is never an easy thing to do. But, let's say that my hip hurt. I would probably deal with it, maybe take some Advil. I probably wouldn't go to the doctor until I was dragging my leg.
Right.
And most people are like that, and I get it. And they wait and wait and wait until the problem, it just gets worse and worse, and they can't deal with it anymore. And it's not right. And the thing is, the problem always gets worse. It doesn't get better. And especially financial issues, they grow exponentially, and exponentially not in the financial favor. The most common thing that when I talk to people, they say, well, I feel better. So that's the first step. When we get off the phone, or somebody, in a more traditional sense, when they come into one of our offices, all of our appointments right now are over the phone, and that's even more welcoming. People don't have to take time out of their day to come into one of our offices. They don't need to take time off work or time away from their families. We are only a phone call away. And what we do is we reserve at least a half an hour per person, and we go through their personal financial situation. I have some people that call and they say, well, I don't want to talk about that yet. And I say, no problem. I completely understand. I could talk about the Eagles all day to someone, but that's not a good use of their time or mine. A lot of times, people feel as though, well, I'm failing if they call us. Well, they're probably failing if they don't call us, right? Because they know they need to make a change, and they just don't know how to do it.
Well, having said that, one of the things that, and I've talked to individuals that you represent, and stopping the bleeding is such a big deal. There's so many people right now that are in financial distress because of the COVID-19, and like you said, pride will get in the way, but they're bleeding and they don't know how to get out of it. One thing people don't realize is what a benefit it is and what a relief that it is when somebody learns about the debt relief program, learns how to stop the bleeding, and stop the creditors from calling. You can stop somebody from losing their house, losing their automobile, and getting back on solid ground, putting them in a place where you can put together a plan where not only can they stop the bleeding, but they can get back on track.
And a lot of times lower expenses too. I mean, that is absolutely huge, because if we're lowering expenses, that's less money coming out of pocket on a monthly basis, and that is also a greater opportunity to save money, and it doesn't take a lot of money in savings to stay out of debt. Most people that I see, they turn to debt in a time where there was an emergency and they did not have savings. Most people that have debt, probably 90% or more, do not have savings. That is the ultimate goal, because at the end of the day, that savings is going to keep people out of debt. So if they need new tires, if they need, the roof is leaking, if they need a hot water heater, the people that I see do not incur debt to go to Hawaii for 2 months. The people that I see incur debt for an expense that comes up that they're just not able to handle. These are good people. These are very, very hardworking people that I respect 100%, that they were just not ready to absorb a financial emergency. And I think that's where we have to get people back, get away from paying $1,000 or $1,500 a month to credit cards, where that $1,000 or $1,500 a month equates to $12,000 to $18,000 a year. That's a lot of money, and especially right now when people are making less than ever.